everyone, welcome back to our channel Go for Agriculture. So in the previous lecture we have seen the historical perspective of IPM. So in the today's lecture we'll see the categories of pest, the causes for the pest outbreak, and also we'll know why we call an insect as a pest. So let's start with our lecture. Pest, causes for outbreak, and the categories of pest. Categories of pest. So the pests are basically categorized based on two things. One is the occurrence and second is the based on infestation percentage. So first we'll see the occurrence. So first is the regular pest. So the name itself suggests the pest is regular. It means it frequently occurs on the crop. So since it frequently occurs on the crop, there will be a close association between the crop and the pest. That's why the control measures are recommendable. If we don't take the control measures, there will be a huge crop damage. So like for example, rice stem borer and the brinjal fruit borer. So the second is the occasional pest. So here also the name itself suggests the pest is not frequent. Since it's not frequent, there will be no close association with the crop. Example, caseworm in rice and the mango stem borer. Next is a seasonal pest. So this pest, it do not occur every year all the time. It occurs during a particular season every year. So this is seasonal pest. Like for example, red hairy caterpillar in the mango hoppers. Next is the persistent pest. It occurs on the crop throughout the year and it is difficult to control. So what is the difference between the regular pest and the persistent pest? Even in the regular pest also, the pest infects the crop throughout the year. So the main difference is, so in the regular pest we can take the control measures, to control the pest. But in persistent, it is difficult to control. Like even if we take the control measures, somehow again they start infecting the crop. So this is the main difference. So the examples are chili thrips and the meaty bugs of sugarcane. Next is the based on the infestation percentage. So it's of two types, epidemic pest and the endemic pest. First is epidemic pest. So in this epidemic pest, there will be a sudden outbreak of pest in a severe form. Like see for example, if there is a locust, we all know locust. So if the environment is suitable, so what happens? They've started increasing their population and they start affecting the crop in a severe form. This is called as epidemic pest. Like for example, whitefly outbreak in Punjab and the sugarcane woolly aphid in Karnataka. This is epidemic. Whereas in endemic, so this pest will be infecting the crop throughout the year all the time, but the rate of pest infestation is really low and also it is restricted to a particular area. This is the endemic pest. Like for example, rice gall midge in Madurai and the mango hoppers in Periyakulam. So this is based on the infestation percentage. Next we will see the parameters through which we can measure the infestation. So first is the general equilibrium position, GEP. So what is GEP is, we tell the average population of an insect is called as GEP. Like for example, if the average population of the insect is 5 insects, then we'll call those 5 insects as GEP. But these population of these insects, they can oscillate, like sometimes they may increase or sometimes they may decrease. So these insect population, they may oscillate due to the biotic and the abiotic factors. Okay, so now let me draft you with an example. So before that let me explain you what is carrying capacity. So what is carrying capacity is the maximum number of the insect population that an environment can support. If the insect population reaches the carrying capacity, then what happens is the environment itself suppresses the population of the insect. So this is called as carrying capacity, the maximum insect population an environment can support. Now let me tell you with an example. Okay, see for example, if the GEP of a particular insect is 10, okay, so they have a food source in the environment which is enough for these 10 insects only in the environment. So one fine day, the environment became suitable to these insects. So what happened? They started reproducing and they started increasing their number to 100 insects. Their population is now 100, but the food source is enough to only 10 members. So what happens? competition between the insects occurs. So in case of competition, one will and one will die. Slowly their population decreases and they reaches their GEP. Once you see in this here also, so this is the GEP, right? Now here initially there are 10 number of insects. So due to the good environment, they've started increasing and they reached the carrying capacity. And the mother nature, what it did, it started suppressing their population, and it made to reach their GEP again. If there is another case, like due to the external factors, if the GEP decreases to 5 insects only, like if you see here, if the GEP decreases to 5 insects, so what happens is, this environment, it helps those insects to increase their population to reach their average density, like providing the extra food, or giving them the suitable environment to grow, etc. So again, it helps in increasing the population to reach the GEP. So this is how their population tends to oscillate. Even if they increase the population or they decrease the population, the environment brings their population to the average population, that is GEP. So now you understand what is GEP and what is carrying capacity and what is the role of environment in maintaining the GEP. Next, economic threshold level and the economic injury level. So what is economic threshold level is the population density at which the control measures should be taken, whereas economic injury level is the lowest population which will cause the economic damage. Now let me tell you with an example. So here you can see a graph, right? So here you can see this is the pest population. So as the time increases, here the pest population, it has started increasing, and it reached the point where the control measure should be taken, that is the economic threshold level. So at this point, they've reached a population where the control measure should be taken. So if the farmer takes the control measures, their population decreases. If the farmer didn't take, their population increases to economic injury level, and there will be a huge crop damage. So this is what happens. So you can see the economic threshold level plays an important role. So, and also I say that economic threshold level, ETL, is less than EIL. If you agree with it, yes, you're correct. If you didn't understand, let me explain you. So for instance, just remove the economic threshold level from the graph. For instance, so what happens? The pest population, it starts increasing. Since there is no economic threshold level, we don't know when to apply the control measures. So it starts increasing, and there will be a huge crop loss. So this is the role of economic threshold level. It means this economic threshold level gives you enough time to do the control measures. So this economic threshold level gives you time to do the control measures. So this is the role of economic threshold level, and this is the reason why ETL is less than EIL. So now you understood why ETL is less than EIL. Next we'll see, here you can see ETL is always less than EIL because it provides a sufficient time for control measures. Next is damage boundary. So damage boundary is the lowest level of damage which can be measured. It means we can measure how much damage has happened to the crop, but this damage won't affect the economic yield. Let me tell you with an example this one. Wait, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So in this graph you can see the yield and the injury. Okay. So at this point the yield is high. It's of 100%. So as the pest infected the crop, what happens? The yield decreases and the injury started increases. So the yield started decreasing because the pest population started increasing. So the yield decreased and it reached the damage boundary. So what is it? What is damage boundary? It's the population, or it's the damage which can be measured. So this is the measurable loss, but it won't affect the economic loss or the economic yield of the crop. Okay. So if we continue with this, again the yield started decreasing and it reaches the economic injury level. So what will be before the economic injury level? It is the economic threshold level, as I've told you in the previous graph, right? So if we apply the control measures at the economic threshold level, the pest population decreases and we can save our crop. If we don't, of course it reaches the economic injury level and it causes a damage. If it crosses the economic injury level, it means the yield is decreasing a lot more. So there will be economic damage to the crop. It means the yield is decreasing and the injury is increasing. So I hope now you understand the difference between the damage boundary and EIL. Yes, EIL. So in the damage boundary you can measure the loss, but this loss won't affect the economic yield. Whereas in the economic injury level, this will affect the crop. The economic yield. Okay. Next, so how to calculate the economic injury level? So it is C divided by V into I into D into K. So C is the cost of management, V is the market value, I is the crop injury per insect, D is the damage or yield loss, and K is the proportional reduction. So if anyone asks you a question on this formula, it will be a easy question, like they'll give you C, V, I, D and K and you'll be asked EIL. That's it. It's so simple. Next, we'll see the pest categories according to EIL, GEP and ETL. Sorry, it's ETL. So first is key pest. Okay, wait. First of all, let me tell you that. Okay, now I'm drawing the basic parameter or the basic population of the insect, like how it fluctuates. Okay, so this is the population. Okay, so GEP, this is GEP and this is ETL and this is EIL. So this is how the basic pest population it fluctuates, and if it reaches the ETL, we can bring it down, and when it reaches the ETL, if we did not apply the control measures, it will increase. Okay, so this is the basic pest population graph. So I would like you to observe this once. GEP is at the lowest level. I'm sorry, wait. GEP is at the lowest level, and above GEP ETL is there, and the above ETL EIL is there. Okay, just observe this graph, and based on this we are going to compare all the parameters of the pest. Okay, so now we'll move on to the first key pest. So in the previous graph, what did you see? There is GEP in the lowest level, next is ETL, next is EIL. But here what you can see, GEP is above the ETL or EIL. It means their average population or their GEP or their average population is higher when compared to EIL. EIL means economic injury level. So what is economic injury level? The lowest population which causes the economic damage. But here you can see their average population only causing the economic damage, which we can say that this pest, it causes a severe damage to the crop. This pest is called as key pest. So for this we should spray temporarily, and we should bring down this GEP population below the EIL. It can be here. We should bring down the population to here. This should be our aim. So like for example, diamond black moth. So this is the example of the key pest. So are you clear with the key pest? Next we'll move on to our next major pest. So in this major pest also, it's a little bit similar to the key pest, but you can see this GEP lies really close to the EIL. So for this also we should do the timely sprayings to bring down their population below the EIL, that is here. So if we bring down the population with the repeated sprays, we can control this pest. So these pests are called as major pests. So major pests and the key pests are little bit similar only. Okay, so the example of the major pests are cotton disease in the rice stem borer. Okay, next, minor pest or the occasional pest. So in this also GEP, it lies below the EIL, but sometimes they cross the ETL and they reaches the EIL. Again their population decreases, because why? Because the environment itself suppresses it sometimes. If not, we should take the control measures. Both of them will happen. Okay, so and again their population declines. So this is what happened. So these minor pests or the occasional pests, they can be controlled easily. Like for example, cotton stainers, rice hispa, and the ash weevil. Okay. Next are the sporadic pests. So here you can see the GEP, it lies below the EIL only. Only sometimes, like once on a blue moon day, they will cross the ETL and reaches the EIL. If they cross the EIL, they cause a severe damage to the crop. So like for example, sugarcane pyrilla, white grub, and the hairy caterpillar. Next are the potential pests. So no one calls this potential pest as pest at all, because basically they don't cross the ETL and reach the EIL. But if the environment it favors their population, it will cross the EIL and causes a severe damage. Like for example, Helicoverpa armigera is a potential pest on alfalfa. Okay, so these are the 5 pests. So let me ask you a question. What are the 2 pests which their average population lies above the EIL? What are the 2 pests in which their average population lies above the EIL? They are key pest and the major pest. And for the remaining pest, their average population, that is GEP, lies below the EIL. Clarified? Next. Yes, what is a pest outbreak? So the large sporadic population of the insect pests, they are usually called as pest outbreaks. So there are basically 5 common scenarios that lead to the pest outbreaks are environmental change. So I've told you, for example, if the environment is good enough to increase their population, so the pest outbreak occurs. Like in case of locust, we all know locust during this lockdown it happened. So the environment change is one of the factors that cause the outbreak. Next is introduction from abroad. So we have seen many of the pests that are introduced from the abroad, which caused a severe infection in the many countries. Next is destruction of natural enemies. So if we destruct the natural enemies, there will be no good things to stop the pest. So this is one of the main reason. And the development of resistance. So in the previous lecture I've told you that the many pests, they have developed the resistance against the DDT. So the same will be happen here. Next is higher quality standards. So this is the reasons why of the pest outbreak. So this is it, guys. So in today's lecture we have studied what are the causes for the pest outbreak and the categories of pest. So this is the most important lecture. If you have any doubts, kindly go back to the lecture and just listen to our lecture. Okay, so thank you for watching. If you have any queries, you can ask it on our Instagram page, or you can post in the comment section. And also you can download this PPT from the link given below. And if you like this video, please subscribe this channel. Till then, stay tuned. Take care. Bye bye.